Stay away from sexual contact with a narcissist. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, because I think it's very important for you to understand. Sex with a narcissist is abuse. Yes, you are being abused when you have sex with a narcissist. And the reason why is because they're so self-absorbed that they lack empathy. And for them, everything is just about manipulation and control. It's all about just sucking the life and the energy out of you. And meanwhile, they're just treating you like a toy, an object, a tool. You're just something for them to use. You're not something that they connect to. They lack empathy, so they do not share or understand your feelings or experience. It's just all about them. It's all about their needs. And that is why they're so selfish. When you're with them, when you're sexually involved, they don't consider your emotional or physical needs. It's not about what brings you pleasure. No, it's never about that. And even for them, believe it or not, but narcissists are not physically or sexually attracted to anyone. And you're with them and you feel like you're not that attractive, you're not sexy, you're not cute. And you look at yourself and you wonder, what is wrong with me? Is it my face? Am I not beautiful or handsome enough? Maybe I just need to do my hair a different way. Maybe I need to lose some weight. Maybe I'm too fat. Maybe I need to gain weight. Maybe I'm too thin. Maybe my butt is too big. Maybe it's too small. Or maybe it's something else. There's so many different things that might run through your mind. All of these things that you may think is wrong with you, and they may even tell you that as well. They may point out things about your body, saying that it's something that they dislike. And that is why they're not turned on with you. That is why they do not decide to have sex with you. Because yes, in some cases they may even withhold it altogether. And that may make you think that something is wrong with you. But what you need to understand is that narcissists, and even just people who have narcissistic traits, they're actually not physically or sexually attracted to anyone at all. Because they're narcissistic, so they're self-absorbed and they lack empathy. It's all about them. A narcissist is the type of person who, if they're having sex with you and they want to do it in front of a mirror, just so they can look at themselves, and they're having sex with you, and they're just thinking in their minds, wow, look how sexy I look doing this right now. And you're not even there. You're just a prop. You're just an object. They're not even really considering you in that moment. You're just there to make them look good. They're not even seeing you as a human being. They're not even seeing you as that at all. And when you think about it, it's really sad, it's really pathetic, but this is just how it is. Narcissists are not physically or sexually attracted to anyone, not even themselves, because as we know, they have this false self. And this false self is meant to be perfect, and they plan and coordinate the elements of a situation to produce this effect of them being whoever they want to be in that moment. Whatever makes them feel good, whatever makes them feel sexy, attractive and desirable. The best thing since sliced bread. And they just move you around. It's like you switch from position to position, and you're just being moved around like a toy, a rag doll. And they want to position you in certain ways to set up this. It's like a movie set. They position things around to produce this effect. And this effect is not for you. It is for themselves. They're self-absorbed, that they lack empathy. It is all about themselves. It's never about giving or sharing anything with you. And that is why I say that sex with a narcissist, it is an abusive act. Because they're not even considering you. You're not even there. And yet at the same time, they are leeching off your energy, of everything that makes you who you are. And that is why when you're having sex with a narcissist, even during the sexual acts, it doesn't feel good. In fact, it feels bad. It feels very wrong. You feel a lot of guilt. You feel a lot of shame. You may even feel quite embarrassed to talk about it. Although sometimes, and I say sometimes because for this to even take place, you have to be in the fantasy yourself. You have to be completely delusional, where they have gotten you to share this fantasy in that moment to validate their false self, and in that moment then it may feel quite good, but even then that's just all in your mind. It's not real. It's not a real connection. And that is why, even if it does feel good in that moment, following the act, you will then feel really bad about yourself. You will feel a lot of guilt. You will feel a lot of shame. You will feel like you just made a very big mistake, as though you should have never done that. You should have never been in their bed or had them in your bed. You should have never taken off your clothes when you were around them. You should have never agreed or consented to participate in this sexual act. What I'm saying is, despite the fact that you were manipulated, used, abused, and controlled by a narcissist in a sexual way, despite all of that, at the end of it, you may even blame yourself. Because they're not going to be there to comfort you. They're not going to be there to hold you and tell you that everything's okay. They're not going to be there to do that for you. And that is why it may not even be pleasurable during the sexual act. Because they don't really love you. They're not very affectionate. They don't hold you. They don't put their arms around you. They don't even make eye contact with you. It's like you're not even there. They're just using you like a toy, a prop in their movie, and they are the star of the show. Sex with a narcissist will always be narcissistic. It will always be all about them and how great they are. You may be fooled into thinking that it's about you. And by doing that, you may experience a level of fake happiness. But it's really not about you at all. It's all about them. And literally in their minds during that moment, all they're really thinking is, wow, how sexy am I? How attractive, how desirable. Look how good I look. Yes, that's exactly what's going through their minds. And you may not believe it because they manipulated you. They led you to believe that this was something where they felt attracted to you. And as though they wanted to share this connection, as though they wanted to give you something. When in fact, no, it was all about them. It was all about robbing something from you. And that is why by the end of it, you feel robbed. And this is even before we get to the spiritual side of it. Because yes, sex is a spiritual act. When you are having sex with someone, you are making love to their soul. It is affecting them on a spiritual level. And that is why that energy stays with you even after it's done. And it can linger with you for a very long time. In my experiences, I've noticed for a few days, maybe even for a few weeks, you just feel like something's wrong. You feel anxiety, you feel irritable, you may even feel depressed. And you may feel like you just want to be alone. It's almost like you've just been raped. Even though you may have agreed to it, you may have consented, but it's like you thought it was something else. So at the end of it, you're thinking you got robbed, you got cheated, you didn't get what you wanted, what you expected, what you were led to believe. Because you were just used. You were abused. You were tricked and you were deceived. And yes, it can affect you spiritually. And this is another thing as well. You need to be aware of a person's past sexual partners. Because as I said, this energy stays with us. This DNA passes from person to person. And that's another thing as well, if you're talking about unexpected pregnancies. I mean, if you get a narcissist pregnant, or they get you pregnant, then there's a chance you could be bringing a baby into the world with very bad genetics. A child who could be messed up in the mind. And then there's also STIs as well, because as we know, narcissists like to sleep around. And they don't like to be told no. They don't want to be told that they have to use protection. Again, it's not even about sexual attraction, physical attraction, or even pleasure or gratification. It's really got nothing to do with that at all. That's not why they do want to use protection. Narcissists are completely emotionally and even physically numb. They're completely desensitized. It's all about manipulation and control. That's what it's all about when you're dealing with a narcissist. They don't even experience positive feelings and emotions. It's all negative for them. That's why they're always miserable. And in fact, you may notice, and this is really crazy, but it makes sense with a lot of what I've said up until this point. You may notice that following the sexual act, they're even more miserable. They're even more frustrated. It's like they're even more mad at you. It's like you've done something wrong. And they may even say that to you. They may point out something during the sexual act, something you didn't do it correctly, or something you didn't do that they wanted you to do. But as we know, they never actually say what it was. They just expect you to guess. And they will just use that as an excuse, as justification for how they feel following the sexual act, to justify their misery and frustration. But the reality is that they just can't be satisfied. It's not you. So don't feel bad about yourself. Don't feel like you're not attractive, you're not good enough, something is wrong with you. I don't want you to feel that way at all. And that's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying it because it is the truth. Narcissistic people, even those who don't have the full-blown disorder, they do not experience physical or sexual attraction. They don't even experience physical attraction to themselves, even though you might think that they do. I'm sure many of you know about the story of Narcissus, where he fell in love with his reflection in the lake. But even then, that's a false character. It's not even real. They don't like anything that exists in reality. They shut it out. They don't want anything to do with it. They live in a fantasy. They're not physically or sexually attracted to anyone or anything. It's all about manipulation and control. And of course, they do try to appear normal. That's why when you experience the discards, they go on and they find another source of supply. And they act like they're so in love, they're so attracted to this person. And this begins from the devaluation phase as well. This is why they insult you, why they put you down. Why they always make negative comments about your appearance, to try to make you think that there's something wrong with you, when in fact they just can't even feel physical or sexual attraction. That's what the problem is. And this is why they go on to prove such a point to you of how they can be physically or sexually attracted to someone else. But even then, it's still about manipulation and control. They're manipulating the new source, and they're also manipulating and controlling you through your perception of this new situation. And you've got to think, why do they go to such extreme lengths with the new source just to try to prove this to you? Why is that such a concern to them? And of course, it's because deep down they know that something is wrong with them. They understand that they can't experience physical or sexual attraction. Yeah, they know that something's not right with that. They know that they should be able to experience it. And this is why when you go out into public, you might be at a restaurant, you could be anywhere, and they're always watching your eyeballs. They want to see where you're looking or who you might be attracted to. It's like, although they can't experience it themselves, they try to experience it vicariously through you, and they're so fascinated with your natural process of physical and sexual attraction. They're so fascinated by that, and it's like they always want to know what it was that attracted you to them physically. They're so fascinated with that because they don't get to experience it for themselves. That's why. And that's why they go off, and it's such a point that they have to prove to you of how they can experience that with someone else. And the reality is that it's all fake, it's all an illusion. It's all just something they're using to manipulate you. I mean, you got to think, how can someone experience physical or sexual attraction and real sexual intimacy if they lack affective empathy, which is the ability to share and feel another person's feelings and experiences? Just look at how many times they hurt you. Quite clearly, they cannot feel what you feel. They can't feel what you feel. If a person cannot feel what you feel, how can they experience physical or sexual attraction? How can they experience physical or sexual pleasure and gratification? How can they be satisfied? How can they ever be happy? Of course they can't. It's not possible. This is the reality of it, because only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths, as statistics show. And this is why, although you may have experienced sex a lot of times throughout your life with a few sexual partners, it's like you may have never felt like you really connected with anyone. Like you never experienced real intimacy. And perhaps that's why. Perhaps that's why. Because as statistics show, only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths, which are people who have the ability to feel what you feel. And really, that's the best part. When you know that you are making someone else feel good. And that is something narcissists, or even really anyone who isn't an empath, doesn't get to experience. They don't get to feel what you feel. They can read into it cognitively, but they can't really feel it. And that's the best part, being able to feel it. And maybe that's what they're missing. Maybe that's why they're so miserable. Maybe that's why they can't find satisfaction in anything in their lives. Maybe that is the reason for that. For those of you who have had that experience, where you're having sex with them and you can actually feel what they feel, you will know how amazing that feels. To know that you are making someone else happy. You are making them feel good. You're bringing them pleasure and satisfaction. I mean, honestly, I would say that that is the best part of the sexual activity. I mean, for me, Nothing hurts me more, or would hurt me more, than to know that I have not fully satisfied my sexual partner. And I would be thinking in my mind, what do I have to do to make things better, to make things right, to please you, to satisfy you, to make you feel good? Yes, that's what I would be thinking about in my mind. But as for narcissists, that doesn't even cross their mind at all. They don't even think about that. And that's how it's so easy for them to just use and abuse you and not even care about if you're sexually satisfied. That's how it's so easy for them to do that, because quite clearly they don't even care. If they did care, you would see a different response. They wouldn't react in that way if they actually cared that much about it. Quite clearly, all they're concerned about is their own, and I wouldn't even say sexual pleasure. They didn't even get to experience that. They don't even experience physical or sexual attraction. It's all manipulation and control. They're seeking power. And even then, that has nothing to do with you. You're just an object, a tool, a prop. They don't even see you. You're just a mirror. People are mirrors that reflect back to them how they want to see and feel about themselves. That's literally all it is.